right, thank you.
Okay.
And let's see. Okay, go ahead, and I have one for doctors.
Thank you very much. The local governments and the regional governments have to produce a congestion management plan. And that's required under the law. So you have to kind of look at what the long-range planning is for congestion management. The ones I've seen don't seem to match the greenhouse gas emission reductions. Okay, when you look at the congestion management plan, they don't get enough greenhouse gas reduction. So how do we create plans that match what we're talking about with greenhouse gas reductions in the congestion management plan? Because the transportation sector, when we talk about vehicle hours traveled, vehicle miles traveled, I think we ought to talk about both. Vehicle hours traveled is how long it takes you to get from your home to work or whatever you're traveling, your travel time. And then vehicle miles traveled is how long you take to get from one point to another. So I think you have to look at those metropolitan area congestion management plans. What can we do to incentivize those plans to reduce greenhouse gas emission to the aggressive schedule that we have?
Well, first of all, and you're going to test my knowledge on congestion management plans here, so I will circle back with you because I know you won't leave this one alone. Yeah. But ultimately, any project that is programmed has to come through the regional transportation plans that have to adhere to a greenhouse gas reduction target. If the congestion, to the extent my sense is, to the sense a congestion management plan is slightly different or off that, some of those projects are less likely to go. I'm not sure exactly how frequently, off the top of my head, a congestion management plan has to be updated, but some of those might be a little, it's periodic, but it might not be in sync with the RTPs, which have to be updated every 4 years. And I will say this about the regional transportation planning agencies, that so much work and time has gone into the RTPs with the SCS. Particularly in your larger regions, it's a full-time 4-year job. They adopt a plan on Friday, and then their modelers come and start their forecast assumptions on Monday. And so what the regions are not protected by the mandate protections that local governments are, and so we've borne the cost of that planning. If the congestion management plans are a little out of sync, it might be just because of our staffing. I'll get back to you on that.
I like to see the integration so we're in sync a little bit more on greenhouse gas reductions in the congestion management.
Yeah.
The plans I've seen from my area are pretty aggressive, but the issue, of course, is funding. That's, to fund the programs that we need. And then I know my colleagues from Diamond Bar, weren't you on the regional transportation board and working on the same subject? The Los Angeles area, yeah, it's the fog is, I think the planning there, they need to emphasize projects that have a impact on greenhouse gas emissions.
Well, and one issue with the congestion management plan that is that it still also deals specifically in LOS, level of service standard, where we are, yeah, okay, I mean, I'm getting technical, but the law predates 375.
Right. We need to focus on, I think if it was in sync, we'd change that law on congestion management plans to focus on both vehicle hours traveled and vehicle miles traveled. And we'd also put something else I think is really essential. There's new scientific research on this, that the most important thing that can hit poverty in our communities right now is social mobility. In other words, access to jobs, if you want to put it bluntly, getting people within what they call a 90-minute commute to as many possible potential jobs as possible. And if you can see it like this, if we have more and more congestion, that area that they have to find jobs shrinks. If we increase mobility, that area expands. So our goal should be, in terms of eliminating poverty, as a primary imperative, expanding mobility, especially for low-income areas. And I think our dictate on greenhouse gas emission reduction is to relate it to low-income communities, so expanding opportunities for mobility to find jobs. And there's a lot of new research on this. It's been affirmed many times now.
I've started calling those mobility bubbles, where you can, you're absolutely right there. And our regional transportation plans are actually going to exacerbate that problem, because if you look at what SCAG is going, the Southern California Association of Governments, I believe the number of attached houses over the percentage over the next 20-year life of their plan is almost 80%. So that's attached housing. All future housing stack, 80% will be attached. San Diego has a similar percentage, slightly lower. We're seeing that in the Bay Area. That means we're going to have more people living closer together, which means we're going to have to find roads and use our roads for all modes, not just cars.
The obvious we really need to do a better job on using clean energy for the water system sector. You pointed out the Poseidon plant, but it's all over the place. If 19% of all the energy we use is moving and treating water, we can certainly use renewables to help the power. That should be part of it. But my question was, it seems like there's a variety of organizations doing a variety of different metrics on determining the carbon embeddedness in water. What would be your recommendation on how to develop perhaps protocols that everyone can work off the same page on? So we now got a lot of well-meaning people doing things. Some care more than others.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I mean, it seems to me if we're talking about the investment plan, we're talking about ARB. And ARB has gone through, setting up new protocols for forestry sector, and I think they're in discussions around rice and methane production. And I think that ARB would need to take a look at what the California Public Utilities Commission has already put together, and decide whether that methodology met its requirements, if there's additional pieces that they'd like to add, but they have a template to work from at this point, and they need to move forward with developing a protocol.
Developing protocols and then maybe starting with voluntary reporting and whatever. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I want to thank all four of you, and let's call up two more people to join Mr. Sanchez, who's been waiting patiently. Louis Bloomberg, Director, California Climate Change Team at the Nature Conservancy, also known as TNC. And is someone here representing Californians Against Waste? You don't look like Mark Murray, but very good. You can sit up here or in whatever you prefer. You can. So, Louis Bloomberg, go ahead. You're the alphabetically, I guess, first. That's the way it's listed on the program anyway.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Louis Bloomberg. I am the Director of the California Climate Change Program for the Nature Conservancy. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak here today about the natural resource sector in this topic. But before I dig into that, I just wanted to comment on some of the discussion earlier about the role of states, California, in the Global Climate Accord. I was lucky enough to be in Paris and participated in many of the sessions with both of you, and wanted to point out that 9 years ago, when I went to the first one of these in Bali, there was this was 2007. AB 32 had just been passed. Nobody knew what was going to happen, and there was one side event for California folks to talk about what was going on. And the room was really crowded. People really wanted to know. And at that point, it was just a hope, a dream that was at least enshrined in law. And so this year, I was just amazed that, as you know well, that at any given moment on any day, there were 2, 3, 4, 5 events on subnational activity. And you and the 8, 9 people from the administration were deployed all over the arena. So the art of the possible that Secretary Rodriguez mentioned, California has demonstrated the art of the possible with real achievements, as you yourself, Madam Chair, had noted. So moving on here, I wanted to, again, thank you to talk about the natural resources sector, and in particular here, we also call that the natural and working lands, and that's in the language in the second investment plan. And we also refer to it at the Nature Conservancy as natural climate solutions. And that includes the forests, the wetlands, the grasslands, rangelands, the agricultural working lands, as well as the urban forest and urban green space. And so this encompasses and affects people in all aspects of their lives, regardless of where they live, in the cities, in the suburbs, in the exurbs, and in the rural area. Well, the conservation and restoration of the state's natural and working lands is well integrated into California's climate law, policy, plans, and goals. And the importance of funding this sector as an effective climate strategy was established previously, for example, in SB 1532, in the first investment plan, and has been affirmed in the past 3 state budgets. And so we are pleased that the second investment plan continues to recognize the important and unique role that investments in natural and working lands play in helping the state meet its climate goals. So I'm going to summarize what I've submitted here in writing and briefly offer my comments with 4 recommendations. So the first one is on the level of funding. We believe that given the unique role of natural and working lands in achieving our climate goals, significantly more greenhouse gas funds should be invested in this sector, and that should be done through a 3-year appropriation. Investments in natural and working lands are unique because this is the only sector that actually removes greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. And in addition, the benefits that they produce will increase over time as carbon continues to be absorbed into trees and other ecosystems. This long-term increased sequestration role is critical for California to meet its long-term emission reduction goals for 2030 and 2050. So as we heard from the Department of Finance, Governor Brown has identified natural and working lands as one of his essential 5 pillars needed to address the state's long-term goals. However, funding for this sector has been erratic and inadequate. We believe greater funding and a 3-year appropriation and funding plan would result in a more stable, effective, and efficient program, and would also be consistent with the time frame of the investment plan. My second recommendation deals on improvements to the plan, the strategy overall, with specific references and needs for the natural resource sector. We believe and recommend that California should accelerate work to develop a cohesive accounting framework that takes into account different scales, and that would be from the state to the subnational region, to the landowner and project scale, and with a clear and immediate timeline. This additional planning analysis would support a much-needed accounting framework for a host of activities, including the land base, and would also help shed light on ongoing discussions around forest health that we heard earlier today, as well as the large wildfires we're experiencing and the role of biomass energy. It would allow the state to identify the greatest needs and opportunities and to be more strategic and optimize its investments. And it would allow ARB to fully integrate the natural and working lands into the AB 32 scoping plan that Chair Nichols spoke about. My third recommendation deals with adaptation and resilience, and I know Senator Wieckowski is a special interest of yours, and I want to thank you for your leadership on this issue last year. We appreciated that, and we're pleased to support your bill. The second investment plan, we believe and recommend that the criteria for the investment of funds should prioritize both climate resilience and natural climate solutions. The second investment plan supports the state's priority to enhance resilience of natural resources and human communities. This is well established in the policy platform that your law established, as well as AB 1482 and other bills last year, and in numerous state plans and policies. And because we're already experiencing the impacts of climate change, as your report showed for the hearing today, we believe investments in this area should be given a special or elevated priority. We recommend that the investment plan require that expenditures be evaluated for the potential effects from climate change over time to ensure durable reductions and increase resilience to climate impacts. This is consistent with and arguably required by Executive Order B 3015 we heard about, and as well with AB 1482. And then for natural climate solutions, they are a powerful tool to address climate change, and they produce the suite of benefits that you heard from the Department of Finance. They can reduce emission reductions, they increase sequestration while simultaneously enhancing resilience. Plus, they provide a suite of other important additional benefits like water supply and quality, high heat reduction in our cities, food security, and habitat for fish and wildlife, and so forth. So we believe resilience should be given a special treatment in the investment plan. And my fourth and final recommendation really addresses the global nexus here for this sector. And I want to point out that like California's program, the role of the land base is well integrated into the global program. And we believe and recommend that California stimulate implementation of the Global Climate Accord by fully integrating natural and working lands into AB 32 and working with its partners in many ways, including adding tropical forest protection into AB 32's program. So there are many provisions in the Global Accord that deal with the land base, and one is the neutrality by the end of the century provision. Another is Article 5 of the Global Accord that requires countries to conserve and enhance sinks and reservoirs by reducing emissions from deforestation, and it's also in the nationally determined contributions, the pledges that countries made. Over 120 countries included the land base in their INDCs. So California can, again, demonstrate the art of the possible by fully integrating natural and working lands into AB 32 and help through its partnerships help other countries actualize the opportunities for the reductions there. And in particular, I want to just point out the Under 2 MOU that we heard about earlier today. There are about 12 states and provinces that affect tropical forests from tropical forest countries that have signed that MOU. So if California can integrate tropical forests into its AB 32 program, it can help those states and provinces achieve their Under 2 MOU pledges. So in conclusion, we support the investment plan as an important addition to the state's efforts to address climate change. And its recognition for the vital role of natural and working lands. We thank you for convening the hearing and for inviting us to participate. We look forward to working with you and others to help secure these greenhouse gas benefits from the natural resources sector and enhance the resilience of human communities. Timing matters. Accelerating work on this sector for the next scoping plan can produce meaningful reduction. The time to start investing in natural climate solutions is now if we are to see tangible benefits in the future. Thank you.